You ever had one of those nights where you're sleeping peacefully, only to be jolted awake by a sharp, twisting pain in your leg? That deep, cramping ache that has you clutching at your calf, trying to stretch it out, waiting for it to pass? It's frustrating. Even worse, it doesn't just happen at night. Maybe you've been out for a walk, feeling fine, and suddenly, bam, your leg locks up. Feels like someone's got an iron grip on your muscles, and for a few seconds, all you can do is ride it out. People brush it off. They say, "Oh, it's just part of getting older." Or they tell you to drink more water, eat a banana, get more potassium. And sure, hydration and minerals play a role, but the truth is, most folks don't realize how much the food they eat every day is fueling those painful cramps. The things we put on our plates, often the ones we've been eating for years, could be silently making our muscles weaker, our circulation sluggish, and our nerves more prone to misfiring. See, cramps aren't just random. Leg pain, stiffness, and those sudden awful spasms usually have an underlying cause. Your muscles don't just decide to rebel out of nowhere. They react to what's happening inside your body, and a big part of that comes from what you're feeding them. The problem? A lot of common foods, ones we don't even think twice about, are actually stripping our muscles of what they need to function properly. And if you're someone who deals with frequent cramps, soreness, or just tired, achy legs, it's time to take a closer look at what's on your plate. Now, before we get into the 7 worst foods for leg pain and cramps, let's take a moment to understand why certain foods trigger these issues in the first place. Because if we don't get to the root of the problem, it's easy to make the mistake of treating symptoms instead of causes. First, let's talk about inflammation. You hear this word a lot these days, but here's what it really means in simple terms. When your body is inflamed, it's like your muscles are constantly irritated. Think about a small paper cut. If you keep touching it, picking at it, irritating it, it won't heal properly. That's what inflammation does inside your body. It keeps your muscles in a state of stress. And when your muscles are stressed, they don't function smoothly. They tighten up, they cramp, they hurt. Now, a lot of foods in today's diet are highly inflammatory, meaning they cause your body to swell, tighten, and struggle. These foods disrupt proper blood flow, making it harder for oxygen and nutrients to reach your muscles, and that's a recipe for cramping. Then there's mineral depletion. Your muscles need potassium, magnesium, and calcium to relax and contract properly. But some foods actually flush these minerals out of your system, leaving your muscles more prone to sudden, painful spasms. You might think you're getting enough of these nutrients, but if your diet includes foods that deplete them faster than you can replenish them, you're caught in a cycle of deficiency without even realizing it. And let's not forget about poor circulation. If blood isn't flowing freely to your legs, your muscles aren't getting the oxygen they need to function correctly. Some foods thicken your blood, clog up your arteries, or spike your blood sugar, all of which contribute to slower circulation. And slower circulation? That means more stiffness, more pain, and more cramps. All of this boils down to one thing. The wrong foods create the perfect storm for leg pain and cramps. So, if you're tired of waking up in the middle of the night clutching your calf, if you dread long walks because of that aching soreness that follows, or if you just want to keep your legs strong and pain-free as you get older, then it's time to start cutting out the foods that are working against you. In the next section, we'll start breaking down the first few of the worst culprits, foods that might be sitting in your kitchen right now, quietly making your leg pain worse. But before we get into that, let me ask you something. When was the last time you really thought about what your food was doing to your body? Most people eat out of habit. They eat what they've always eaten, what they grew up with, what's easy and convenient. But sometimes, the foods we've been eating our whole lives are the very ones holding us back from feeling our best. It's time to rethink the way we fuel our bodies. It's time to take control of what we put on our plates and start eating in a way that supports our muscles, not sabotages them. Because trust me, once you remove the foods that are keeping you in pain, you'll notice the difference. Your legs will feel lighter, stronger, and more capable. Those random cramps that used to strike at the worst moments, they'll start to fade away. Let's get straight into it. One of the biggest culprits when it comes to leg pain and cramps is something most of us have in our daily routine without a second thought: processed sugar. I know, it's everywhere. Morning coffee, sugar. That, afternoon snack, sugar. Even things we don't think of as sweet, like bread or pasta sauce, often have hidden sugar. But here's the thing: sugar doesn't just give you a quick energy boost and then crash. It wreaks havoc on your body, especially your muscles. When you eat sugar, it causes inflammation. And remember what we talked about earlier. Inflammation is like that constant irritation inside your body. It stiffens your muscles, makes them more prone to cramping, and disrupts the balance of minerals your muscles need. The more sugar you eat, the more inflamed your body becomes. And the harder it is for your muscles to stay relaxed and pain-free. And it's not just the obvious sweets like candies or cookies. Think about sodas, fruit juices, even so-called healthy granola bars. They're packed with sugar, and every time you indulge, your body pays the price. Your blood sugar spikes, your insulin surges, and your muscles start losing out on the essential nutrients they need to function properly. Over time, this constant spike and crash cycle weakens your muscle fibers, making them more prone to spasms and cramps. If you're someone who deals with leg pain, cutting back on sugar isn't just a suggestion, it's a necessity. Because no matter how much stretching you do, if your diet is loaded with sugar, those cramps will keep coming back. Now, let's talk about another food that often flies under the radar, but is just as damaging: refined carbohydrates. White bread, white rice, pasta, these staples might be comforting, but they're not doing your legs any favors. When you eat refined carbs, your body quickly converts them into sugar, triggering the same inflammatory response. But there's more to it than that. These carbs also strip your body of essential minerals like magnesium and potassium, two minerals your muscles absolutely need to avoid cramping. Without them, your muscles are like a car running on empty. They can't function smoothly, and sooner or later they seize up. Ever felt that sudden sharp cramp in the middle of the night after a big pasta dinner? It's no coincidence. Your muscles are screaming for help because they're starved of the nutrients they need. It's not easy to cut out these foods, especially when they're such a big part of everyday meals. But if you're serious about getting rid of leg pain and cramps, you have to start making changes. I'm not saying you have to give them up completely overnight, but start small. Swap out white bread for whole grain. Cut back on the sugary snacks. Your legs will thank you for it. But sugar and refined carbs aren't the only culprits. Another major one is something that's often praised for its convenience, but is terrible for your muscles: processed meats. Think hot dogs, bacon, sausages, deli meats. Sure, they're quick and easy, but they're also loaded with sodium, preservatives, and unhealthy fats. All of these contribute to dehydration and inflammation, two major triggers for muscle cramps. Sodium, in particular, is a tricky one. While your body needs some salt, too much of it throws off your electrolyte balance. And when your electrolytes are off, your muscles can't function properly. They become tight, prone to cramping, and more painful than they need to be. Processed meats also reduce circulation, making it harder for your muscles to get the oxygen and nutrients they need. So next time you're thinking about grabbing that quick ham sandwich, remember what it's doing to your legs. There's one more food I need to mention in this section. Something that's often considered a comfort food, but is a hidden trigger for muscle pain: fried foods. Crispy chicken, fries, chips, yes, they taste good, but they're packed with unhealthy fats that increase inflammation in your body. These trans fats don't just clog your arteries, they reduce blood flow, and poor circulation is a direct cause of muscle cramps. When your muscles aren't getting enough oxygen-rich blood, they tighten up, leading to those sudden, painful cramps. And it's not just about the fats. Fried foods are often high in sodium too, adding another layer of muscle stress. If leg pain is something you're battling, cutting back on fried foods can make a world of difference. So, here we are: sugar, refined carbs, processed meats, and fried foods, four major culprits behind leg pain and cramps. Each of them contributes to inflammation, mineral depletion, and poor circulation, all of which set the stage for muscle discomfort. I know, these foods are hard to avoid, especially when they've been part of our diets for so long. But here's the truth. Every bite you take is either helping your body or hurting it. And when it comes to muscle health, the wrong foods can keep you stuck in a cycle of pain, no matter how much you stretch, exercise, or hydrate. Let's pick up where we left off. We've talked about sugar, refined carbs, processed meats, and fried foods, all notorious for fueling leg pain and cramps. But there are still three more foods that often go unnoticed, quietly contributing to muscle discomfort day after day. And one of them is something most people rely on without a second thought: caffeine. Now I know what you're thinking. Don't take away my coffee. Believe me, I understand. That morning cup is a ritual for so many of us. But here's the thing, caffeine is a diuretic, which means it makes your body lose water. And when you're dehydrated, your muscles suffer. They become more prone to cramping because they need proper hydration to function smoothly. It's not just coffee either. Think about sodas, energy drinks, even certain teas. All of them contain caffeine, and every sip is pulling water out of your system. But it doesn't stop there. Caffeine also depletes essential minerals like potassium and magnesium, which, as we've discussed, are critical for muscle health. Without enough of these minerals, your muscles can't relax properly, making cramps almost inevitable. And if you're someone who already struggles with leg pain, that extra cup of coffee in the afternoon might be doing more harm than good. Now, I'm not saying you have to give up caffeine entirely, but moderation is key. Start by cutting back, drinking more water, and paying attention to how your legs feel when you reduce your intake. You might be surprised at the difference it makes. Moving on to another hidden trigger: alcohol. Whether it's a glass of wine with dinner, a beer with friends, or a nightcap before bed, alcohol can quietly worsen muscle pain. Like caffeine, alcohol dehydrates your body, and dehydration is one of the biggest culprits behind muscle cramps. But there's more to it than that. Alcohol also disrupts your body's ability to absorb and store essential nutrients like magnesium and calcium. Without these nutrients, your muscles are left vulnerable, easily fatigued, more prone to spasms, and slower to recover from strain. Ever noticed how leg cramps seem more frequent after a night of drinking? That's not a coincidence. Your muscles are reacting to the loss of hydration and nutrients caused by alcohol. And over time, regular drinking can create a cycle where your body is constantly trying to replenish what it's lost, but never quite catching up. Cutting back on alcohol, or even eliminating it altogether, can significantly reduce muscle cramps and improve overall muscle function. It's not always easy, but your legs and your entire body will feel the benefits. Finally, let's talk about something that might surprise you: dairy products. Now, dairy is often praised for its calcium content, which is essential for muscle health. But for many people, dairy can be inflammatory, especially if you're lactose intolerant or have a sensitivity to it. Inflammation, as we know, is a key player in muscle cramps and pain. Dairy products like milk, cheese, and yogurt can cause bloating, water retention, and muscle stiffness in some people, making leg pain worse. What's more, dairy can sometimes interfere with the absorption of magnesium, and without enough magnesium, muscle cramps become more frequent and intense. If you've ever felt unusually stiff or cramped after a meal heavy in cheese or milk, your body might be telling you something. Cutting back on dairy or switching to alternatives like almond milk or plant-based cheeses can help reduce inflammation and give your muscles the support they need to stay relaxed and pain-free. So there you have it: caffeine, alcohol, and dairy. 3 more foods that can quietly contribute to leg pain and cramps. When you combine them with the ones we talked about earlier, it's easy to see how diet plays such a significant role in muscle health. But here's the good news. Once you start making small changes, the results can be life-changing. Imagine waking up without that sudden jolt of pain in your calf. Imagine walking longer distances without that nagging ache in your legs. It's possible, and it starts with what you put on your plate. So we've talked about the worst foods for leg pain and cramps: sugar, refined carbs, processed meats, fried foods, caffeine, alcohol, and dairy. It's a long list, and I know it might feel overwhelming. But here's the thing. Avoiding these foods isn't about punishment or deprivation. It's about giving your body the best chance to stay strong, pain-free, and resilient as you age. And the good news? For every harmful food you cut out, there's a better choice waiting to take its place. Let's start with the basics. Hydration. I can't stress this enough. Your muscles need water to function properly. When you're dehydrated, your muscles become more prone to cramping, no matter how well you eat. So the first step to counteracting the effects of those cramp-triggering foods is to stay hydrated. Not just when you feel thirsty, but throughout the day. Aim for water, herbal teas, and natural drinks without added sugars. And if you've had caffeine or alcohol, make sure to drink extra water to balance it out. It sounds simple, but it makes a world of difference. Next, let's talk about minerals. Your muscles rely on a delicate balance of potassium, magnesium, and calcium to contract and relax smoothly. When these minerals are depleted, cramps become inevitable. So, start adding foods that are rich in these essential nutrients. Bananas, spinach, avocados, and sweet potatoes are excellent sources of potassium. For magnesium, think about nuts, seeds, and dark leafy greens. And for calcium, if dairy isn't for you, try almonds, tofu, and fortified plant-based milks. These foods replenish what cramp-triggering foods take away, giving your muscles the support they need. But it's not just about individual nutrients, it's about building a balanced diet that reduces inflammation and promotes muscle health. Focus on whole, unprocessed foods, fresh fruits and vegetables, whole grains like brown rice and quinoa, lean proteins like fish and chicken, and healthy fats like olive oil and avocados. These foods don't just nourish your muscles, they improve circulation, reduce inflammation, and provide sustained energy without the crashes that come from sugar and refined carbs. I know change isn't easy, especially when it comes to food. We're creatures of habit, and our diets are often tied to comfort, convenience, and culture. But every small step counts. Maybe start by cutting back on sugary snacks or swapping white bread for whole grain. Replace one soda with water. Choose a handful of nuts instead of chips. These little changes add up over time, and before you know it, you'll start feeling the difference. And here's the best part. When you fuel your body the right way, you don't just reduce leg pain and cramps. You gain energy, improve your mobility, and feel better overall. Those late-night cramps that used to wake you up, they'll become less frequent. That heaviness in your legs after a long day, it'll ease up. Your body is incredibly resilient, and when you give it what it needs, it responds. One more thing, be patient with yourself. Change takes time, and it's okay to take small steps. Maybe you won't give up coffee entirely, but cutting back helps. Maybe you can't avoid fried foods all the time, but choosing healthier options more often makes a difference. It's not about perfection, it's about progress. And every bit of progress brings you closer to a life with less pain and more strength. So, as you move forward, remember this. Your body reflects what you put into it. The foods we've talked about might be familiar and comforting, but they're not worth the discomfort they cause. Choose better, not just for your legs, but for your overall well-being. Your muscles will thank you, your body will thank you, and you'll thank yourself for making the change. After all, life's too short to spend it in pain. Take care of your body, and it will take care of you, always.